What up, boys? I'm going through the notes from last week. Not the notes, but the responses to the recap. And first of all, minimal responses. Feel free to talk shit about me. But Electric was at his daughter's softball tournament. And that's why he started nobody last week. So when I said I was rooting against him now, I feel bad, but not that bad, if that makes sense. Like, at the end of the day, yes, your daughter is important. And I'm sure, by the way, great kid. Really great kid. In the way that a lot of kids are about themselves, your daughter's selfless. And that is why, you raised a great daughter. But at the same time, how would she feel knowing her dad didn't prioritize fantasy football? That probably hurt her a little bit. It probably hurt her a lot. I think she would tell you, don't come to softball, Dad. Make sure the lineup's set. I just think that's what she'd say. So, with that being said, you got the win. So, we get to celebrate Electric, who does have a great team. And, yeah, now that I know he's a family man, obviously going to pull for him a little bit harder. But beat Vinny Figs, which is my team, 154 to 126. Electric had a pretty well-rounded performance, but you got to really point to Drake London as the leader. 42 points, a stellar week for Drake London. Just feels like he was addicted to the end zone, 3 touchdowns. Very impressive. But again, your team is just super well-rounded. The only guy who just laid a dud was Rome Odunze, who I'm not that concerned with. I think coming to the season, I was pretty low on Rome, but because there's so many targets and there were weeks like this, so I guess this validated that argument. But I still think Rome has some good weeks in him. And as your last receiver, as your third best receiver, maybe fourth, actually behind Jalen Waddle, that's the best in the league as far as fourth wide receiver. So I'm not concerned about Electric. I actually think it's one of the contenders for sure. Vinny Figs, I still think is a contender. 126 wasn't a fantastic week, but a lot of that is Tucker Kraft got injured, which is obviously very disappointing, and you just didn't get much out of your kicker defense. But your guys still really performed for the most part. Josh Allen, 32 points. Bijan, 17. Devontae Adams, 22. Rashee Rice, 20. And yeah, Jonathan Taylor had an off week, but nobody's concerned about Jonathan Taylor. So with that being said, Electric obviously celebrating this week, but I think both these guys are going to find themselves in the playoffs. Team Livin' La Vida Yoda, people were really starting to say, is there any way that I'm wrong about the Dun chain? And I hate rooting against somebody, but I'd say I'm pretty happy when I see Livin' La Vida lose, and that makes me a hater, I know. But yeah, I was getting nervous about this team. And now they go to 4-5. Did not show up this week. 114 points. Daniel Jones turned the ball over like it was his job. Outside of Rico Dowdle, really nobody on this team performed well. It was a very big off week for this team. I think it's a better team than obviously when I done chained it. Rico Dowdle, obviously an incredible addition, but still just not enough firepower to compete down the stretch, in my opinion. El Grenas does get a big win to go to 4-5. Tie Livin' La Vida in the standings, but also with a better team, I think there's more potential here. And you see Puka's return, obviously how valuable that was. Hopefully he's healthy, because with Puka and hopefully a better Justin Jefferson, the wide receiver group becomes a lot stronger. You're going to get Bucky Irving back soon. The running back group becomes a lot stronger. And is this a best team in the league? Definitely not. Could it contend? Maybe. It's definitely a long shot, but it's not a done chain team, and that's really all that matters at this point in the season. Then Banditos, speaking of contenders, goes crazy. Really proves himself to be top of the league, 8-1. I'm sure Banditos is flexing right now, and you got to just be happy for the kid at this point. 198 points. You can't point to somebody who did well, because every single guy on this team did well. Just remarkable effort. This is with Jalen Hurts on bye. Is Stafford now the starter over Hurts? It's a question a lot of people are asking. When Garrett Wilson is healthy, does he have a spot still on this team? A question a lot of people are asking. A lot of good questions, and I don't have many answers. And you beat a good Destin the Win team, who is now 130 points, falls to 6-3. Still a very good team, but you look at the rosters across from each other, and it kind of makes sense, in my opinion, that Banditos is 8-1 and Destin the Win is 6-3. I think Destin the Win is very good. I mean, you're going to also be getting Ibuka back, so I think it's a contender team. But Banditos is one of those teams that you look at wow, no holes. If anything, you could suffer an injury and you're still going to be good. And that's pretty rare, and that's what happened with Garrett Wilson. So, obviously, a great week for Banditos, but I expect this could be even finals matchup, semifinals matchup. Would not be surprising at all. Another Dunchain team, the chairman just proving why the Dunchain was put on his neck, and it's frustrating because Gibbs should give you more, Vidal should give you more. Those are my running backs too. My team's not great. I also have Brian Thomas. I benched him, but anyway. Yeah, your kicker was your best player this week, and the rest of the team just didn't show up. Do I think this team is an automatic win? No. But the Dun chain obviously is proving to be appropriate. El Professor needed the win, got the win, 152 points. Didn't need that many points, but fortunately for him, he had a pretty well-rounded effort as well. Outside of an injury to Booty, the rest of the team, like, everyone was like pulling their weight, like, you know, to beat a chairman team. Like, you just need people getting double digits. That's what basically everyone did. Then Brock Bowers' 43 points put you from, hey, that's good enough to win against a bad team, to that was a great week. Like, you played like a top team. You're not going to get that from Bowers that often. So yes, you're going to need better weeks out of CD. 12 targets should lead to more than 13 points. You're going to need better weeks, obviously, from your RB2 spot. But as we know, Judkins coming back is going to change things. DeAndre Swift coming back is going to change things. So I'm not going to speak too much about Tyjae Spears because that's not going to be an every week starter. Unless Pollard gets traded, then you're swimming. My other Dun chain team, all of them falling this week because Team Straight Knockout, despite an okay week, does fall to Team Chef Cesario, who definitely needed the win, gets to 4-5. Obviously, you know my situation with Team Chef Cesario. I said they were a top 4 team coming to this season, so I continue pulling for him. I think there's enough firepower on this team to make a run. I mean, where's not the firepower? Like, you got Dak, Kyron, Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, Marvin Harrison, Kincaid. Like, all these guys are performing well. If Monagai becomes the actual guy, if DeAndre Swift does not come back or loses his job, this team goes from good to legitimate contender. Right now, I'd say still good enough to be put in the conversation. Like, if you're playing him in the playoffs, it's not like, oh, I have an easy matchup. I think it's just as strong as most teams in this league. Whereas Team Straight Knockout, we've spoken about it. I mean, technically still alive, 3-6. You're not completely done in this league, but yeah, you look up and down this roster, and, you know, even with Breece Hall coming back, and even if McLaurin and Jaden Daniels, like, it's just not enough, as we say, firepower. So I'm going to stick by that Dun chain. But either way, a lot of contenders in this league. Things could certainly go either way. I do want to flag that despite being 2-7, Team the Chairman does have more points than Straight Knockout, who's above him at 9th, then El Professor, who's above him at 8th, then Team Livin' La Vida Yoda, who's above him at 7th, and basically the same amount as the guys in 5th and 6th. So while we're hard on the Chairman, I just want to give him that shout out that you don't deserve to be completely shit on. So with that being said, I'll see you guys next week. I started doing lives for fantasy football on my TikTok. So if anyone uses TikTok, I've been doing it like almost every day to talk about fantasy. Championships only is a TikTok, and we have a good time over there. So if you let me know that you're in I call it Caesar's League, but it's League of Ordinary Gentlemen. If you're ever on one of those lives, so I know, and ask me your start-sit questions before the week. So now you can hold me accountable rather than being this like reactive, like, oh, you should have started this guy. Like, so easy. Hindsight's 2020. Anyway, love you guys. Again, Electric. Good job putting family first, and I'll talk to you guys soon.